Have you been neglecting the skin on your neck? If crepey neck skin is a concern, stick around because I'm sharing tips and treatments to keep that skin smooth and firm. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Dr. Sam Ellis. I am a cosmetic dermatologist based in Northern California, and I'm here to help you understand your skin and find products and treatments that work for you. So if that sounds good, make sure you subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up. Before we delve into the skincare products and lifestyle modifications and in-office treatments you can do to improve the skin on your neck, I always want to be crystal clear that this is such a personal choice. Aging is a normal thing that happens. You don't have to fight it. But if you're noticing that your neck is bothering you and you want to do something about it, I think it's important to hear about what to do and learn about what to do from a reputable source. I really created this channel to give accurate, honest information about skin and hair and nails, and I don't ever want anyone to feel self-conscious from watching a video. It's really just so that you know what your options are if you want to explore them. So that classic crepey texture of the skin with all the little tiny fine lines and wrinkles that we see on our neck, but other parts of our body as we age as well, is really due to a loss of integrity of the skin. And what I really mean by that is we're losing the support structures in our skin, or they're getting degraded as time goes on. So for example, collagen, which really gives the main structural support, we make less of it as we get older, and we break down more of it as we get older. Same goes for elastin. Elastin is what makes our skin stretchy and able to bounce back. But as we age, the elastin goes away, and so our skin does not have that snap back quality. Our skin also tends to be less oily and get more dehydrated as we get older, and when our skin doesn't have oil and water, it's going to emphasize the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles. And one thing that's kind of annoying about our neck skin is that it tends to show aging changes faster because it is thinner than the skin on other parts of our face, and it is 5 times stretchier. It's much more elastic, and as that elasticity goes down as we get older, we're left with a lot of loose or sagging skin. We also have to keep in mind that the aging changes that we see on the neck are only in part due to skin changes. We also have to keep in mind what's going on with the structures beneath the skin, like the fat and the musculature. The integrity of all those structures can shift and change as we get older, and combined, when you have issues with the skin, the muscle, and the fat, is really when people start to become very dissatisfied with their neck appearance. But earlier on in the aging process, all we're seeing are changes in the skin, and that's really what this video is focusing on. What can you do at the more superficial top layers of your skin to help the appearance of your neck? So I'm going to start off talking about things you can do at home in your skincare routine and in your lifestyle to improve the skin on your neck, and then we'll talk about in-office treatments as well. And the reason I think it's important to address both of these things is whenever I'm at a cosmetic conference, when someone's up on the podium lecturing about neck rejuvenation, literally the words that come out of every single person's mouth is, the neck needs the kitchen sink. Like, you need to come at the neck from every single anti-aging angle to make improvements because it is so dang stubborn. It's really those unique properties of the neck where it's in an area that's highly mobile, it's thinner, it's stretchier, that it just is less responsive to things like lasers, topical skincare, even surgical interventions. And so when you're thinking about improving the appearance of the neck, the more things you can be doing to push it towards rejuvenation, the better. One of the top things you can do for your neck skin and how your neck is going to age is trying to maintain a stable body weight as much as possible. Because the neck skin is so stretchy, when you gain a little bit of weight and then lose it, and then gain a little bit of weight and then lose it, that skin is stretching and contracting and stretching and contracting, and eventually it gets to a point where it stretches and it doesn't contract again. And sometimes this is inevitable, right? Like, we have to gain weight when we get pregnant, or we go through a stressful time, or we have to take medication that might make us gain weight. But if you can optimize your weight and keep it as steady as possible, the reality is that will help your neck. Sometimes I get asked about like neck exercises and whether those will help with the appearance of the neck, and no, they will not. Honestly, the more you strengthen your neck, actually the worse the neck can appear, because we have these things called platysmal bands, which are these like ropes of muscle that go down from the jawline towards our collarbones. And if you strain your neck or you exercise your neck, it can actually make those platysmal bands appear a lot worse and age the neck more rapidly. I see this all the time in like really thin women who do things like Pilates or weight training where they're engaging their neck muscles a lot. Their neck does tend to look a little bit more aged. And I'm not telling you to not exercise and to not do those things. Those are far more important than the appearance of your neck. It's just something to be mindful of. Now, when it comes to lifestyle, the other most important thing when it comes to neck rejuvenation and maintaining the health of the skin on your neck is sun protection. It feels obvious, but I have people every single day who come into my clinic where their face is doing so well, they don't have tan lines, and then I get to their neck and chest and it's like 4 shades darker. Most of us did not grow up with the instructions to put sunscreen on at all, so it can be a real departure to start to learn to put sunscreen on your face, let alone bringing it down to your neck and chest, but protecting those areas is paramount. UV radiation breaks down your collagen, it breaks down your elastin, and even if you're doing all of the other anti-aging neck things, whether it's surgical or in-office treatments, and if you're not protecting that investment with sun protection, your results are gonna be really limited and short-lived. There's actually a skin condition called poikiloderma of Savant that refers to very specific aging changes that we see on the neck and chest due to sun damage. I see it all the time in my clinic, and it's sort of this like reddish brown discoloration. It often spares this area of the neck because your chin has acted like a little baseball cap, so this part of your neck has been protected your whole life, and it's this red-brown splotchiness, and it also is this like chicken skin-like texture that you see. And that chicken skin texture is actually your oil glands kind of poking through the skin where the surrounding skin has thinned out so much that we're seeing all this pebbling of the oil glands underneath. The more sun exposure you've had in your lifetime, the more likely you are to have that condition, but there are certainly things we can do in office to reverse it, so fear not. And aside from bringing your sunscreen down onto your neck and reapplying on your neck, which you should always be doing, especially because things rub on the neck and they can rub off your sunscreen, I also recommend using some type of sun protective clothing on your neck, especially if you do repeated or regular outdoor activities. A lot of my patients play tennis or golf or they're big hikers. And if you use some type of like neck gaiter or bandana around the neck to protect that skin, you don't even have to worry about wearing sunscreen there. Luckily, there are a lot of great companies now that make sun protective clothing. So for example, Solbari, Coolie Bar, I'll link a couple of my favorite neck protection items in my description box. This is something that I recommend keeping in your car or your tennis bag or your golf bag, somewhere where if you're outside, you're not caught without it. And I think because sun protection is becoming more prevalent and people are more aware of it, it's less of a social or like fashion taboo to wear sun protective clothing. Like when I'm out in the community going on a walk, I see people with their wide brim hats and their bandanas, and it is so nice to see. So let's say you're protecting your neck. What are the things you can do to actually reverse some of the damage and negative changes that you're seeing? Now, I would say, and this is kind of similar to eye cream, you do not need a specific neck cream. You can just take whatever you're using on your face and bring it down onto your neck. The one thing to keep in mind there is that the neck skin is much more sensitive. It's much more easily irritated. It develops rashes more easily. So if you can't tolerate something that you're using on your face, on your neck, that would be a point where you should pick an alternative or separate product to use there. And when we're thinking about ingredients or formulas that benefit neck skin, it's the same stuff that benefits skin anywhere on your body. Retinoids for collagen stimulation and to increase cell turnover, things like glycolic acid and lactic acid, so alpha hydroxy acid, exfoliants to help draw water to the skin surface, help with cell turnover, thicken up the skin. And then we're also thinking about hydration things, moisturizers to improve the quality of your skin barrier. Now, if you use a neck cream or you want to be using a neck cream, that's totally fine. Neck creams are not bad products at all, but if you can tolerate things that you're putting on your face, on your neck, they kind of serve the same purpose. I think the other benefit mentally of having a specific neck product is it really reminds you to focus on your neck. So often in skincare, the neck is truly an afterthought. Like you go in with all the layers on the face and then you're like, oops, yeah, neck too. But if you have a specific product that's dedicated to your neck, you'll probably be more focused, you'll remember to use it more often, and you're likely to see better results. For example, a really popular neck cream is the Elastin Restorative Neck Complex. Elastin is kind of famous or well known because they have a proprietary peptide that helps stimulate elastin, and it's really hard to stimulate elastin in the skin. It's much easier to stimulate collagen, but like I mentioned earlier, the neck is much stretchier. We need that elastin there. So having a product that has peptides in it that specifically focus on the integrity of your elastin can be helpful. If you've been around on my channel long enough, you also know I'm a huge fan of the Allies of Skin retinal and peptides complex. A lot of my patients use prescription strength tretinoin on their face for anti-aging, but as soon as it gets anywhere near their neck, they have irritation. And for patients with that concern, I really like the Allies of Skin because you have all these anti-aging peptides, plus you still have exposure to a retinoid, but it's retinaldehyde, so it's a little less irritating and a little less intense than prescription tretinoin. I also totally recommend bringing any exfoliating acids that you're using on your face down onto your neck. Now, when we're using exfoliation on our face, oftentimes it's to help with things like dullness, but you also get a collagen stimulatory effect. I'm less worried about your neck looking dull and more using acids in that that case for that collagen stimulation. So for example, when I use my Prequel multi-acid milk peel, which is 15% glycolic acid, but also has a variety of other alpha hydroxy acids in it, I do it primarily on my face, and then whatever is left over on my hands or on my cotton swab, I bring it down onto my neck as well. And then anytime you're using anything that could be potentially irritating on your neck, you always want to be following it up with a moisturizer for soothing, protection, and restoring barrier integrity. Another topical skincare thing that can be really helpful for neck skin is topical estrogen. Now, this is not something that you can buy over the counter. It needs to be prescribed by a dermatologist or an OBGYN or your primary care doctor. But using topical estrogen, if you have estrogen deficient skin, meaning that you are approaching menopause, are in menopause, or are postmenopausal, can really add suppleness and hydration back to the skin. When we go through menopause and that change happens, we lose estrogen in all of our tissues. And estrogen in skin helps with plumpness, it helps with water retention, it helps with oil production. So when you lose that, it can become very apparent, especially in the thinner areas of skin, like under the eyes or on the neck. It's why when a lot of people go through menopause, they feel like they wake up and then the next day they're like, and then my neck changed. So replacing some of that lost or deficient estrogen with a topical estrogen cream can help the appearance of the neck skin. Another thing you can do at home to help with the integrity of your neck skin is consider incorporating red light. I've talked a lot about red light on this channel before. To me, it's like one of the only at-home skin devices that I think is worthwhile, but red light can help stimulate collagen formation. It also helps with inflammation. So if your neck is easily irritated, it may be soothing for that. But using red light a few times a week in your routine can really help with that crepey skin texture. If you have questions about red light, I have a whole YouTube video dedicated to that, so I definitely recommend you check it out. If you already have a red light mask, you could just lay it over your neck for like a second round of light treatment, but they also have specific ones designed for your neck and for your décolleté if you want to do it all at once. And thinking back to the beginning of the video, remember, you need to come at the neck from all angles if you want the most optimal outcome. So just because you're doing in-office things doesn't mean you should neglect at-home things. And just because you're doing at-home things doesn't mean that in-office things won't be additionally helpful. The main goal when addressing the skin of the neck in the office is to stimulate more collagen and more elastin. And you can kind of do this through two different ways. One, you can inject something into the skin to stimulate it, or you can traumatize the skin in a controlled way to help the skin build itself back stronger. And there are many different types of trauma, if you will, that you can use to stimulate collagen. So for example, microneedling, radiofrequency microneedling, laser resurfacing, chemical peels, therapy, thermage. Essentially, we are trying to introduce some type of heat trauma or mechanical trauma or some combination of those two things to the skin. I would say in my practice, microneedling is one of the most popular ways we resurface the neck. It sits at that really nice juncture or balance between being not cost prohibitive for most people and also not having a lot of downtime. Now, when it comes to resurfacing the neck, we cannot turn up the settings or the intensity very high because the neck is so delicate. It often requires more treatments than the face because we can't use as high of settings, and the neck is just less responsive to individual treatments. So when we're talking about something like microneedling, for example, we might be looking at 4 to 6 sessions spaced 1 to 2 months apart to get the results we're looking for. And then all of these things do require maintenance as time goes on, so maybe 1 or 2 sessions a year, because it's not like the neck just stops aging after that. If someone's up for a little more downtime, a little more of an investment, but usually a lot more oomph per treatment, doing something like Fraxel laser that is introducing heat to remodel the skin can also be really helpful. And I would say it's kind of rare for my patients to just be doing their neck. Yes, I do. I can think of like a handful where I'm just microneedling their neck or just doing Fraxel on their neck, but most people are doing their face and then adding in their neck as a second part of that treatment. A couple of other things you can do for the neck. So one would be micro Botox. So essentially using tiny little blebs of Botox placed very superficially in the skin. So we're not really using it to reduce muscle movements. What we found is when you place Botox really superficially in the skin, it can help with texture. Now, it's not a dramatic improvement, but for someone who's doing all the things to help with their neck, microtox can be one of those things. Another thing you can use to improve the skin on the neck is to use a biostimulatory injectable, something like Sculptra, or in my practice more commonly Radies, to stimulate collagen and elastin formation. So these are fillers, but the whole goal of them is not really to add volume per se. The whole goal is essentially to fertilize the collagen and elastin that's there to get your cells that naturally produce these things to turn on and start producing. And a lot of times I'm combining combining treatments for my patients. So a very common thing that my patients will do is have hyperdilute radiesse put into the neck. So radiesse, but we dilute it down so it's nice and watery. We do like a neck wash is what it's called, and we inject it all through the front of the neck to stimulate collagen and elastin over the subsequent month or two. And sometimes even in the same visit, we will then microneedle the neck or Fraxel, some type of resurfacing procedure, so that again, we are coming at the neck from multiple angles at different depths. If you're still watching the video at this point, I'm glad you're here, because something that is so important to understand about neck rejuvenation is every single product and every single procedure I've talked about up until this point does not help with a waddly turkey neck. If the skin under your neck is loose and you have a little waddle here, none of these procedures are really going to help that. There is too much laxity, too much looseness to that skin, and the only way you're really going to rejuvenate that area is with a lower face or neck lift to pull that skin back. This is never what someone really wants to hear, but it's what you need to hear, because if you invest in all those other rejuvenation treatments for your neck with the thought that it's going to make your turkey neck go away or even improve in any meaningful way, you will be so disappointed and you will have wasted a lot of time and resources. So it's not that uncommon in a cosmetic consultation when someone gets to the neck area that I am referring them out to a plastic surgeon if that is their ultimate goal for their neck rejuvenation. It doesn't mean they have to do it, and I'm never trying to push surgery onto someone, but I think it's really important as a dermatologist to have integrity, and if what I offer cannot give the patients the results they're expecting, guide them towards something that will. If you have any tips to add about neck rejuvenation, or if you've tried something that you really love, whether it's an in-office procedure or a product or a combination, give us the tea. We all want to know. Put it in the comments. I love reading them. I know other viewers on this channel love reading them. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and like this video, and I'll catch you next time.